I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of colour. So today's video is all about Botox alternatives for skin of colour, which ones are safe to do and which ones you should avoid. In this video, I'm going to be discussing how Botox works, the office treatments, the home care treatments, what to avoid, and then your step-by-step routine. I think this is an important one because Botox has become quite mainstream and there are a lot of marketing gimmicks when it comes to Botox alternatives, and a lot of them aren't safe for skin of colour. The reason I say this is that for us, our melanocytes are larger than Caucasian skin and they are easier to trigger. As I always say, one scratch, one bite or one burn and we hyperpigment. And unfortunately, if you choose the wrong aesthetic procedures, they can inflame the skin to the point where you've now got hyperpigmentation, which can last for decades. And actually the hyperpigmentation is often more stressful than the original condition or situation with the skin. Right, so don't forget, I am in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single YouTube video, so make sure you subscribe, but also hit that notification bell so you know I'm here to answer your questions. Also, please follow me on TikTok. I've got 2 accounts, Dr. Vanita Rattan and Skincare by Dr. V, and also on that's on Instagram, and on TikTok is Dr. Vanita Rattan. If you haven't joined our private Facebook group, please make sure you do, called Dr. V Sock Family. And also I have a free guide for skin of colour down below, a little gift for you, so please do take that and download it. So what is Botox? Botox is the brand name for the toxin made by Clostridium botulinum. It essentially blocks the signal from the nerve to the muscle to prevent contraction. And so if you don't have contraction of the muscle, you don't have wrinkling of the skin. It's usually used for the forehead and for crow's feet, so around the eye area. Full effect tends to take place about 7 to 14 days after treatment and lasts approximately 6 months. So it is a temporary fix. So let's start with the in-office treatments. So the first one I love is microneedling. Microneedling is basically, it does 2 things. One, it stimulates collagen through controlled injury. So through controlled micro-injury, your collagen becomes stimulated, and actually the next day you start to see a reduction in fine lines. But it can take a few weeks. And actually, usually you tend to do a session either once a month, for 3 to 6 months, or you can do it once every few months. But it's something that will stimulate collagen, but it's also something that you want to continue. The second reason I love microneedling is because you're basically introducing channels just for 24 hours before the channels close up again, which increases penetration of cosmetics. Don't forget that the vast majority of creams that you put on the skin don't actually penetrate further than the top layer of the epidermis. And so actually what you're doing is you're creating channels down to the dermis. So if you're seeing bleeding, that means you're down in the dermis. That rhymes. And actually what you want to then put on top would be something with retinol palmitate in it. So vitamin A ester, that is the least effective but also the least irritating. Don't forget you've created microchannels. Or retinaldehyde, which I love, love, love. So those 2 I love. And then the third would be tetrahexyldecanoascorbate, a fat-soluble vitamin C, because all of those 3 will stimulate collagen. So you can find retinol palmitate, tetrahexyldecanoascorbate, vitamin E, and coenzyme Q10 in our Power Antioxidant Serum, for example, which has a skin pH neutral, which is very important. So the worst thing you can do is after microneedling is to apply an acid onto the skin. So you have to be very careful about what you put on after you've done controlled injury, because if you make a mistake at that point, you can burn the skin and lead to hyperpigmentation. The second thing you can do are microcurrents. You can do this in office, but also at home too. And what it does is basically it gently stimulates collagen production. You apply it to the top of the face, so there's no penetration into the skin. There's no downtime with it, and it's safe to use on skin of color. You're not going to see phenomenal results with it. You might see a reduction in fine lines, so it's quite a good thing to do as a first step when you're starting to see dynamic lines. So don't forget, with lines, it starts off with dynamic lines. So when you first start smiling, you get lines. Then it becomes static lines where your face is still and the lines are just sitting there. So really, we don't actually want it to get to that point. We want to control, if anti-aging is a big concern for you, then you want to control it at the static line time before, at the dynamic line before it starts to just set into the skin. So there are lots of at-home devices for this. One of them is called New Face, which you can literally purchase online. They aren't cheap. They do tend to cost hundreds of pounds. But if it's something that concerns you, then it's something I don't mind you purchasing. And the most intense in-office procedure would be microneedling plus radio frequency. So what you're basically doing is you're bypassing the basal layer. So you're microneedling the skin, and then the radio frequency bypasses the layer where the melanocytes live. And so you don't get PIH, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and you don't get crusting of the skin. So it's good in that respect. However, it does lead to swelling, which can last a while. It can last, up to 10 days. And the procedure lasts about 1.5 hours. It's something that I have considered doing myself, but I think it's going to be painful. And I'm a complete baby. Like whenever I go and do I've done Botox myself, of course. I do baby Botox up here. I've done a whole video on that, so do watch that. But I go, I take my own numbing cream with me. I'm sitting in the car numbing my face up before I even go see my doctor, because I'm so pathetic. Now, in terms of which anti-aging treatments to avoid, I would start off with avoiding fractionated resurfacing lasers, because what they do is basically destroy the top layer of skin, which is basically above the basal layer, and can trigger hyperpigmentation. And I've seen it happen where the whole face has been lasered and then you have hyperpigmentation across the whole face, and that is quite devastating. So any ablative lasers I would avoid. Lasers which target pigment I would avoid, specifically for skin of color. The next treatment, which I find very confusing, which makes no sense for skin of color, is LED light therapy. This is basically when you apply energy to the skin. So any form of energy on the skin is bad for skin of color. This is why, we say wear tinted sunscreens. This is why we use blue light shield. For example, in Inzincable, I put in blue light shield. Why? It's because you're trying to protect your skin from blue light, from phones, from screens, because any form of energy on the skin equals hyperpigmentation. So to be honest, LED light therapy just isn't worth it for our faces, because actually we don't tend to wrinkle badly, but we do tend to hyperpigment badly. So it's not worth it. Where it is useful, and I use it myself, is actually on my scalp. I'm happy for you to purchase an LED helmet, which is specifically for hair growth. And I use that in conjunction. I've created a whole hair growth line for myself, and I use them together simultaneously with my collagen drink, just to get maximum benefit. You find that with age, your hair starts to thin. Specifically after having my children, my hair became really thin, was falling out. And actually those three things combined have, brought my hair back to how it was before I had children. Okay, so moving on to home products. What can you use at home? So the first most important ingredient you need is your vitamin A. Now there are different forms of vitamin A. I've done a whole video on this for you, but just to briefly break it down for you. Retinol is the most popular, it's the cheapest, and it's the easiest to get your hands on. With retinol, I would start off at 0.5% maximum. And the one I actually really love is Paula's Choice 0.3% retinol, and I would recommend that. My favorite vitamin A form, however, is retinaldehyde. It is 11 times more effective than retinol. It works faster than retinol, plus there's zero reactions or irritation with it, which is very important for skin of color. And the only thing is, with retinaldehyde, it is very expensive, and so this is why you actually don't find it in over-the-counter products. It's quite hard to get hold of. I might have something planned for you for next year, but I don't want to give away too much. But I'm always so excited, and I just can't seem to keep my mouth shut. But anyway. Okay, so the next one is tetrahexyl dicaloscorbate. Your fat-soluble vitamin C is one of the few ingredients that gets into the dermis to stimulate collagen. So I love that ingredient too, and that's why I used it in the Power Antioxidant Serum. Then move on to peptides. So I love peptides because they stimulate collagen too. There are a couple that I like. I like Proteini from Drunk Elephant. It's NAFE safe, and it contains quite a few different proteins. Peptides. I would say, however, it is quite expensive, but I like it because even the packaging is correct. They used LS packaging, which is hard to find. The next one I like is Peptide Booster by Paula's Choice. I'm a big fan of Paula's Choice, as you guys know. I don't like everything from the whole brand for Skin of Colour, but a lot of it is excellent. And of course, I put peptides in Cera-Pep, which is a ceramide peptide combination moisturiser, and I put licorice extract, licorice root in there too for skin brightening, and niacinamide to strengthen the skin barrier. If you want to learn more about anti-aging, please do purchase your book Skin Revolution from Amazon. It's been published with HarperCollins. I wrote this. I've basically spent a whole year on this book, and I hope you guys love it. But I've created a whole section specifically for anti-aging, which I think you will love. To shop my skincare routine, this is my kit. It's my 6-piece kit that I use every night, and then 3 pieces in the morning. So this is the Dr. Vanita Rattan Daily range, and the link for the shop is down below too. Don't forget, I am in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video, so please come and ask me your questions, and I can't wait to see you. Thank you.